All right, good evening. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. Today is Tuesday. It's our freight broker training for beginners. We are inviting guests as well as our regular students who normally come in. They usually come in a little bit. They trickle in over time, but tonight we have a guest on as well. How you doing, Miss Tammy?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right. I just got off the phone with Miss Tammy concerning questions about freight brokering, right?
Yes.
Let me log out of here. Okay, so Um, how much about the transportation industry do you already know or not, I should say?
Uh, very little.
Okay. So, um, what you're looking at on the screen now, I'm assuming you're on your phone instead of a computer.
Yeah, let me get to my computer is right here.
It's,
So let
yeah,
me
it's
sign
fine.
in. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm just saying if you can see my screen, it's fine. I'm just
Oh, yes, I can see the screen.
okay. So you had asked me the questions, the difference between a dispatcher and a freight broker.
Hmm.
And I was telling you that a dispatcher is someone who dispatch the trucks. They
Yes.
they send the trucks out under loads, find the loads for them, and they do that independently, and that's how they get paid. They charge a certain percentage for that labor, if you will, and
Hmm.
so on and so forth. A freight broker is someone who the dispatchers get the loads from. Brokers are individuals who arrange for the transportation
Right.
of the loads by
Yes.
by procuring or getting those loads from the shippers and,
Yes.
and then brokering them or selling them to the motor carriers. Now we have David on here. David is a he's an owner operator, so he's a perfect example of a motor carrier who transports freight.
Okay.
But but as a freight broker, there are some uh costs involved in becoming a freight broker, more so than a dispatcher. So under requirements, um, see on our page here, our broker requirements. So the first thing you would need to, well, the first thing, the person or the organization or the governing body that authorizes or gives the authority to individuals to be freight brokers is a organization called DOT slash the FMCSA. So
Okay.
FMCSA stands for Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Okay. They're real big on safety, even in transportation, that's one of the big the highlights in transportation is safety, making sure that the driver and the freight are both safe and secure while in transit, transporting, right? So
Hmm.
one of the first things you have to do as a person who wants to become a freight broker is go to the FMCSA's website, and I'm going to give a paper version of it, a PDF version of it. But the FMCSA's website is fmcsa.dot.gov.
Hmm.
Okay, this is the main. That's the main website.
Okay.
Now, under here, you would go to register.
Yes.
Okay, you go to register and then apply for a new DOT and or authority. That's will be your beginning point. You would have to set up a login.gov. They've switched their login credentials. You have to set up a login.gov um, login in order to continue on through this process. Now, once you get past this point, your login.gov process, you would go to their portal where you would start the process of filling out this OP-1 form. This OP-1 is the literally it's titled the application for motor property carrier, and broker authority. So if a person wants to become a motor carrier, or if they want to become a broker, or if they want to become both, this form here is the form that they would start with.
Okay.
Okay. It is the OP1 form. It it lines up. If you decide just to be a broker, it tells you there are two types of brokers on here that you can select: a broker of property, accept household goods, or a broker of household goods.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if there's some background noise behind you or not, but um, so let's go down here. This is the PDF version. This is the short version, the PDF version of the OP1 form. Most of you who are here already probably, I think Tammy probably be the first one who hasn't been through this process as far as the very first step of applying for a broker. So what are the requirements? You know, hey, LaDonna, what are the requirements to be a broker? You have to, of course, fill this application out, right? So the application, so let me open up a whiteboard here. Okay, so I have my whiteboard open up. So the broker requirements, one, the actual application, okay? The application, which is called the OP-1, that is a $300 non-refundable, one-time non-refundable fee. Now, it's $300 if you only select one option in the type of authority that you want to apply for. If you are a person who wants to apply for multiple types, like if you want to apply for a broker of property, accept household goods, and you want to apply for a on the trucking side as a motor carrier, common carrier of property, accept household goods, then if you want to do that, then of course you selected two. So then it would be $600. So it's $300 per type of authority that you want to apply for. Most people just do one, they'll just select it one at a time. Some people, now, are there some people that select multiple types on one application? Of course they do. But I don't recommend that. But some people, they do that. Okay. So as a broker, there are two types of authorities. Okay. There is a broker of property, except household goods, HA. I'm abbreviating. I'm shorthanding right now. So a broker of property, except household goods. HHG stands for household goods. So, and then you got a broker of household goods. Okay. So the question becomes, what's the difference? What's the difference between uh, a broker of property except household goods and then a broker of household goods? Well, the broker of property except household goods are more on the lines of what common brokers out here now are doing, like general freight and other commodities that are out here except household goods. And what are household goods? Like the furniture, things in your household. So if you're moving somebody's home, right? Those are household goods, the couch, the refrigerator, the appliances, things like that. That's household goods. If you're dealing with household goods as a broker, you're going to take on an extra aggregate insurance um, expense. Okay. So I think it's 2 million, maybe it could be 5 million, anywhere between 2 to 5 million extra on your insurance. Okay. To help you answer the question quickly, which one do I select? I'll just give you the answer. Broker of property, except household goods. Because you're going to, and on the application, you'll just select, if you don't know what type of goods or what type of commodities or what type of loads or freight you're going to be trying to broker, just start off by selecting general freight. And then once you figure out you find a certain niche, then you can select like lumber or refrigerated goods or things that go on dry vans and things like that. But if you don't have that specific category selected yet, general freight is a good safe bet to go with if you're going to go under the broker of property except household goods um, category. Okay. So that's requirement number one. Okay. You have to start the process of letting the FMCSA know that, hey, I want to become a freight broker. I'm interested in becoming a freight broker. And to do that, the OP1 form, the actual application, tells the FMCSA that you are submitting to become a freight broker because you selected under category 2 or option 2 or step 2 on the application, you selected one of the categories of a broker as opposed to one of the categories of a motor carrier. Okay. So that's requirement number one. Starting the process, letting the governing body know that you want to do this. FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. All right. Any questions there? I think Tammy has a question. You're trying to unmute yourself?
Yes, I was.
All right.
No, I actually don't have any questions. I'm understanding so far.
All right. So that's that. So after you fill out the application and submit it to the FMCSA, either electronically or otherwise, uh, you have their attention, right? You're in their system. They're going to see the application, get the $300 or however much you paid because you may have selected multiple options, and then you'll get a grant letter with your MC and DOT numbers on there, but they won't be active until you meet the other requirements. MC and DOT number. MC stands for motor carrier, and DOT stands for Department of Transportation. Every motor carrier, truck driver, owner operator, and freight broker who have active authorities have a MC DOT number to identify so people can recognize that they've met the requirements to have an active authority because they have one. You can look them up on different websites to vet that process to make sure that they are active. It shows it. Um, but you'll get one, you'll get assigned an MC and DOT number, but it may not be active yet because you have to meet other requirements with the FMCSA prior to them saying that, hey, okay, your MC and DOT now is active. Right now it's inactive because you haven't finished the process of applying. You just started the process with the application. So the second step in becoming a freight broker is you have to get what's called a bond. The purpose of the bond from the broker's perspective is to protect the carrier. Because as a freight broker, you are contracted. One of your customers, one of the people that you're dealing with is our motor carriers. And you send them a rate confirmation of a particular load that you posted on a load board, and they called you about that load to book it, and you guys agreed up on a number, and you said, okay, I'll send you a load confirmation or a rate confirmation, and you send it to them. And then whatever the terms in that broker carrier agreement, you have to meet as a freight broker. Otherwise, you will breach the contract. In other words, you're going to pay them according to the net terms of your agreement, or if you offer some type of special payment like a quick pay or ACH transfer, whatever things that you offer to the carrier, you have to honor that contract, that broker carrier agreement. If you do anything either unethically, illegally, or unfairly towards the carrier that breaches the contract, then you are liable, in most cases monetarily, And if the carrier files a claim against your bond, they can recoup the monies that they lost because of your breach of contract as a freight broker. So the bond steps in and helps cover that. Now, let's say I'm a broker and I breached a contract with one of you carriers and it was in the amount of $5,000. Now your bond value annually is $75,000. If I breached it for 5,000 and I filed a claim against your bond and I was right, I'm the claimant, the carrier or the claimant in the argument, and I won it, I had validity in my claim, then the bond company, whoever you got your bond through as a broker, will pay out the claim, the amount, $5,000, and then they'll come back after me, the broker, to recoup that money. Hey, we had to pay this carrier $5,000 because of your negligence or your whatever, your illegal activity, your failure to, or your breach of contract, whatever the reason is, we need our money back. Right. So um, that's the purpose of the bond. The bond protects the carrier. Purpose of the bond. Now there are different types of bonds. Well, there's a surety bond, and then there's a trust, what's called a trust fund. Okay. Now, in order for your brokerage to be active, you have to have a bond on file with the FMCSA. You, as a freight broker, will select a bond company. The bond company will vet you and qualify you to see if you are eligible up under their requirements to receive a $75,000 bond based off of how much you can pay that annual. You pay the bond once a year. It's an annual cost once a year. The premium that I've seen is between 750 to about, I did say 2,200. I'm gonna say 2,500 just to throw it out there. That one time, and this is per annum, per year. So you pay it once and you're covered for $75,000. It's like insurance, basically. You pay your premium and you're covered for that, whatever policy amount is. So most new brokers go the surety bond route because that's based off of your, right now you don't have business credit established when you form your brokerage. You just started your company. You haven't had an opportunity to build business credit. So as a bond company, what other way would I have to vet you other than your personal credit? You don't have business credit. So the better your personal credit, the better your rate will be, or the lower your premium will be to cover that $75,000 bond. So 700, 800 credit score, you'll get whatever that is, right? So now, whichever bond type you choose, speaking of which, the trust fund is just if you happen to have $75,000 sitting around in escrow. Most new companies don't. That's why they choose the surety bond route because it's credit based. Okay. You can leverage your credit in order to get the bond, the surety bond. Whichever one you choose, and again, most cases, new brokers choose the surety route. That bond company that you chose will have to file the right form to the FMCSA. Remember, the governing body, letting them know, like, hey, we have qualified this brokerage or this person who says that they want to be a broker to have a bond with us. And here is the form saying to you, saying that we've done that. So the form for the surety bond is called the BMC 84. And the form for the trust fund, if they decide to go that route, is the BMC 85. Okay. So your bond company will probably say, okay, we'll file this form. You went with us with a bond company. We vetted you. You met our qualifications. You qualify for a $75,000 bond based off of your personal credit. Your premium will be, let's say, $1,000 for that year to cover that bond of $75,000. And you paid it up front. So now we're going to file the form BMC 84 with the FMCSA to check that second requirement box, check number 2. So the first check box was the application itself to let the FMCSA know I'm applying to be a broker. The second step is to get a bond to meet the requirements so that you can cover your responsibility to the carriers and meet the requirement to have a bond. As a freight broker, you have to have a bond. You have to be bonded, in other words. Okay. So Any questions on the second step?
No.
Okay, it look like you taking notes too. So, all right. So remember, now you don't have an active authority yet, right? You have MC and DOT numbers, but they're not active yet. You can't go out and broker freight. You can't go out and solicit shippers and manufacturers for their loads, and you can't go out and solicit carriers saying I'm a broker. I want to sign you up with my brokerage because you still not active yet. You met requirement number one, requirement number two, right? The application and the bond requirement. Okay. Bond. Third requirement, um, you need an agent of process. You need what's called an agent of process to serve you when there is a claim filed against you. When someone files something against you, someone's gonna walk up on you in the middle. You might be in a mall somewhere, wherever you may be, and say, "Are you Tammy such and such?" You say, "Yes." You've been served, right? Or however they do it. Like you may have a customer as a broker, your brokerage may become active. You may have a customer in Texas, but you're based in Louisiana. You did something in Texas with the Texas customer or to breach something with the Texas customer that caused a claim to be opened against your bond. It originated in Texas. They have to get the paperwork to you to serve you that paperwork, but you're in Louisiana. Process server companies have agents throughout all 50 states. So finding a process server companies won't be a problem. Some people may ask, well, do I have to have a process server in each state? No, you don't. What you have to have is a process server in every state that you do business in as a broker. If you have a customer or a shipper in Texas or in Louisiana, then someone has to be there. So the beauty of that is again, each process server company has agents in all 50 states. So it don't matter if you don't have a customer in any of those states, those blank states you don't have, they cover all 50 states. So that's the beauty of it. Okay. So that person, so if you find a particular process server company, um, they'll serve you, and it's usually less. The process server price, the cost is less than $100 to have a process server representative that covers all 50 states so that you cover it because you're not going to cover all 50 states as a broker. I mean, that'd be ideal, but you're not going to be serving all 50 states. You're not going to have customers in all 50 states. You may have them in your state where you live and a few other states that haul the goods that you're looking for, right? In most cases, you may have 10, let's say you had 10 customers and they're spread out. Well, a process server company covers all 50 states so that your 10 are included in that. The cost of that process server is less than $100. I think it's like 76 or something like that. The form that the process server company needs to file with the FMCSA, letting them know that you've met that requirement, is called the BOC-3, blanket of coverage or blanket of companies, right? It's just a blanket of different companies all over the country that serve documentations for legal adjudications. Somebody's filing a claim against you, yada, 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 right? So that's number three. Any questions on that?
No.
Good. Number four, and this is probably even as so brokers can have what's called assets, or they don't, or they can be an asset-based broker or a non-asset-based broker, right? So what is an asset? An asset is either the truck or the trailer, or both, truck and trailer. Trailers are assets in this industry. Why? Because that's where the goods are placed in, and the truck is coupled to and hauled, right? So most new brokers start out as non-asset based. They don't have neither a truck nor a trailer, and at some point they will um, on board or approve carriers under their brokerage, their network of carriers, but they're not assets per se as part of the brokerage. They're just network of carriers they can call on that's on board and got approved under their brokerage. Okay, so number four is um, you need what's called a UCR, a Unified Carrier Registration. Well, in the name, that it could be a bit confusing. Why is it was unified carrier registration? Why do I, as a broker, would need that? Well, again, if you are an asset-based broker, then you have a carrier side. You have trucks and trailers, right? So, and the cost of this, I will say, I don't know the specific cost, but I'll say I know it's less than $100. So there's another cost thing. So the BOC3 was less than 100. The bond we said like $1,000. The OP1 was 300. This is 1K. This is 100. And then the UCR is um, another 100, right? So that's the UCR, Unified Carrier Registration. So on the Unified Carrier Registration as a non-asset based brokerage, I think the number you was going to select, I think it's either 0 to 2 or 0 to 4. I forget on the actual when you fill it out. Let's go to that screen. It's ucr.gov. Um, let's open that up. Remember when you first did the application and you paid the $300 and you got your MCN DOT number, but it wasn't active. Well, you can still use the DOT number to put in here and still start the process of filing and registering your UCR, your Unified Carrier Registration. This is the Unified Carrier Registration website, ucr.gov. Um, you put your DOT number, even though it's inactive right now, into the right here where it says enter your DOT number. You view the terms and conditions, check that box. You view the privacy policy, check that box, check that you agree, and then hit submit, and it's going to take you to another screen to fill out the UCR. Okay. And then once you do that, that is submitted to the FMCSA now, meeting that requirement. So let's go back to the whiteboard. So that requirement has been met. So let me get out of here. All right. So we got the UCR, BOC3, the bond, and the application. Now, if you are let me go here. If you are a broker who has a budget that can afford extra insurance, okay, um, there are some extra insurances that you can expense in order to help you as your brokerage and also look good in front of the shippers. It just shows that you have a little more skin in the game because your insurance, for lack of a better word, is pretty much your bond at $75,000 because that help covers the carrier, but then also your insurance will be in the when you onboard carriers, your insurance will be where you let's go here, our broker documents. when you list yourself as a certificate holder on your carrier's certificate of insurance, the carriers, the truck drivers, the owner operators that you're going to be onboarding, okay? Right here, broker types that you're going to be onboarding. So let's go to carrier information. The certificate of insurance. If you're a non-asset based brokerage that you don't have any trucks and trailers, but you do have carriers that you're setting up, you're onboarding, you're approving them for your brokerage so they can move the loads for your customers. Well, to help you mitigate your insurance, you can list yourself when you onboard those carriers in box number 7 as a certificate holder. Okay, so that'll help mitigate. So when things happen that requires insurance expenses, they'll go after the carrier's insurance first, and then whatever's left over, you could probably step in later. Now, what I mean by whatever's left over, step in later, as brokers, you can take on extra insurance. Like, for example, there's one called contingent cargo and a second one called errors and omissions. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go here. Let's go to a new whiteboard. So right here, I'll erase this. So you've met those requirements. So the extra insurances are not what's called required. They're optional, right? These are optional. Taking on the extra insurance if you can afford it. So E and O and then CCI. So I'll explain what that is. So E and O is errors and omissions. And I think it's spelled with 2 M's, but that's okay. So as a new broker, particularly, you're more susceptible to make errors and omit things, make mistakes, in other words, right? You may forget to tell the driver that a flatbed load should have been tarped, or you may made an error of not putting some type of data or some type of extra accessorial information on the rate con. Something that could have been an error or you left out of the rate confirmation or in the communication between you and the shipper or between you and the motor carrier. Well, that's what error, and that's going to be at the fault of you, the broker, right? So you will carry errors and omissions for a while, for a term. You may carry it longer than you need to, but it'll help you keep your overhead as far as your expenses down because it's an insurance policy. The insurance policy will pay that. Your premium will still be the same. Now, it depends on how bad the error and the omission is that will cause the insurance company to up your premium because now you've become more of a risk because you may do it more consistently than you need to or things like that. That's how insurance companies work, right? How frequent you make the mistake and how large the mistake is for them to decide whether they're going to up your premium or even cancel the policy because you're too risky, right? They're losing money at this point. That's in their eyes, okay? So errors and omissions. And then the second one is contingent cargo. So when you onboard truck drivers to your brokerage, you require the truck drivers to carry um, 2 types of coverages on their policy. It's common, right? The first type is cargo at 100,000, 100K minimum. This is the truck driver. They're required before you vet a truck driver and approve them for your brokerage. You want them to have on their insurance cargo of 100,000 minimum, and then liability of these days 1 million. Okay, minimum. Now the requirement for liability coverage that most truck drivers get from the commercial insurance companies is 750,000. But most brokers now are starting to require 1 million. So it stands to reason that the truck drivers should just up their policy from 750,000 to 1 million. That way they kill two birds with one stone. Okay. So as far as the cargo is concerned, right here, the cargo covers from the carrier side. You have contingent cargo. You may have it between uh you can have between 100 to 250K on top of the carrier's cargo. So if something happens to freight, or if there's freight in that truck that's valued at more than what the carrier is carried on cargo, if you've done damage that's more than the value of that, the insurance or the carriers will cover what they can, and then you make up the difference if you carry contingent cargo. This shows that you have skin in the game as a shipper, and as a broker, and you're showing the shipper, hey, I've added extra insurance, and I took on the expense of adding extra contingent cargo insurance just to show you, Mr. Shipper, that we value your goods, and we want to make sure that they are insured properly. In addition to our carriers having cargo insurance, we've taken on an extra contingent cargo to make sure everything's good. So that's how that works with these two. And these are optional based off of your budget as a freight broker. So, all right. Any questions there?
No, I've got it. I got it.
All right. So now those are the requirements and some little optional ones. So now two customers you have as a freight broker. Your two customers are the shipper who you are getting the loads from, and the motor carriers who you are selling or brokering the loads to. So how do you make your money? What is your profit margin? As a new broker, how much should I charge for my brokering services? How do I communicate and all these other things with the customer? So we got the FMCSA. So now you have an active authority, right? You got an active authority. You are a broker, right? So now you have to deal with your two customers, right? You have the shippers and you have the carriers, right? So how do you contract with both of them legally, right? So with the shippers, and we have templates in our portal in our back office and they're in Word format as well as PDF, whereby um, you can create. Well, the first document in both sides is you're going to need some kind of agreement, right? Some kind of legal agreement that says, hey, I'm a broker. I'm looking to work with you from a broker shipper's perspective in order to move some of your loads if you need help in your troubled lanes, or I'm a broker who want to work with you as a carrier in order to give you good paying freight to keep your trucks running and you making money, right? So you need a broker shipper agreement, and I'll just shorthand it. Or you need I'm gonna shorthand BC, broker carrier agreement. Okay. And what to say in those. We have templates for that. What I'm going over now is the two packet types that you're going to need dealing with your two customers that you need to create prior to um, soliciting your customers for work, right? So if you talk to a shipper and they say, "Hey, send me your packet," they liked what you said, they were impressed by it. They said, "Okay, sound like we can work together. Send me your information." They may say it like that. Send me your information. Well, as a broker, what do you need? What are the minimum things you need to send to a shipper? If I'm a shipper, what am I looking for to make sure that you are who you say you are? You are a broker. Well, the agreement is number one, the broker shipper agreement. Uh, Number two, I need something from you. I'm the shipper, right? I need something from you proving to me that you are who you say you are. You are a broker. What do you think that is? Just out of curiosity.
MC authority. License?
So you need your broker license. And you just got that when you submitted all that stuff to the FMCSA, right? You submitted, you got your bond requirements, you did the application, you did the BOC3, the UCR, everything, and then you got your license back saying, hey, you've been approved, you've met all these requirements. Now you have a broker license showing that because the broker license says, hey, you've met all the requirements. You did the BOC3, the UCR, and all those other things, right? So as a shipper, I need to see other things too. I need, okay, you got your license, you are a broker. Now, if you carry extra insurance, I need to see that, your certificate of insurance, whether it's contingent cargo, errors and omissions, or any other insurance. I need to see a W-9 that you are a legitimate business with an EIN number. And then if you are working with factoring, if you have factoring involved in your brokerage, a factoring company to help you float cash flow until you can get to a point where you can do it yourself and you don't need the factory upfront monies, then I need to see a copy of, I need the credit application of the blank credit application of the factory company. So, because they're going to, the factory company, your brokerage factory company is going to vet me, the shipper, to make sure that I pay on time and my net terms are good and there's no cases against me for non-payment and things like that, right? So the credit application, and then the NOA. The NOA is the notice of assignment from the factory company showing the shipper that, hey, the factory company has stepped in on my behalf and said all invoices that are payable to them are now payable to us, the factory company, Mr. Shipper, because now we've vetted you, your credit was good, everything was good, we've approved you, and now here's a notice of assignment showing you that that this brokerage is our client. Here's a notice of assignment. So these are some of, am I missing anything here? Because these are the minimum things that you would need in uh your shipper, your broker to shipper packet relationship. Is there anything missing? No. Do I send them a copy of uh my bond? Do I send a shipper a copy of my bond?
No,
Why?
because your broker insurance already basically qualifies you. Well, basically tells the broker that you have a bond.
Your broker insurance or your broker license?
Your broker, your broker bond, your broker license shows that you have a bond.
Correct. There you go. So it supersedes the fact that you need to show them a bond because the broker license implies that you if you got a broker license, that means you had to have met the bond requirement, you had to have met the application requirement, right? You had to have met the UCR requirement, right? You had to have met the BOC3 requirement. So all of these requirements for you to get the license is in the license, right? So there's no, it'll be kind of redundant to send them your your form. And matter of fact, you don't have a copy of that. Well, I guess they do give you a copy of the form, the BMC 84. You'll have a copy for your files, but there is no point in sending them your form BMC 84 or 85 for the bond or the surety because they don't need to see that. The fact that you have a license says that you have a bond and says that you did the application and got the UCR and the BLC3. So it'll be redundant to include that in your packet. Yes or no? Yeah, it would make sense, right? It'd be extra work, right? Now, some brokers may put like a brief profile of their company in there. I mean, you can add that, a little profile of your company, who you are, who's the point of contact and things like that. A little small one-page profile of who you are, your MC number, DOT, and your mail, your physical address, your office address, and things like this, basic stuff, right? But this is the requirements of the uh, broker shipper packet. Okay. Now the broker carrier packet. follow the same theme. It's just something different. So you still need your, as opposed to a broker shipper agreement. Now you're on the carrier side. You've already got approved by the broker to get freight, to move freight. Now you want to say, okay, what what do I require from my carriers in order to approve them? Okay, well, I need to have them return to me the broker carrier agreement, which is the contract, right, between them and I, just like the shipper broker agreement was the contract between you, the broker, and the shipper or the customer, right? Um, what else do you need here on the broker
A
carrier?
lot of a lot of the times too, brokers will, for carriers we have, brokers will say like carrier packet, like setup packet. That's the same as a contract, right? Broker carrier.
Right. So there's different names for it. So they'll call it setup packet, onboarding packet, broker carrier agreement. They call it by different names. The main document in those terms is the broker carrier agreement, right? And for let's show what that looks like. Um, Under here. So the broker packet type. So we're on the carrier side. So the broker carrier agreement, right? The technical name. Now this is just a generalized one. A broker carrier agreement. That's the first one of the things that we need, and it's the same on the shipper side. The broker, it'll say broker shipper agreement or broker customer agreement, right? But this is just the verbiage in that, right? What are the duties and responsibilities of the broker? What are the duties and responsibilities of the carrier? What do the broker require of the carrier, and vice versa? What are any payment options, payment terms, net terms, insurance, no back solicitation, all those things that it'll be in the agreement, right? Um, you want to be as specific as possible and clear and concise as possible with your carriers so that there's no ambiguity and they can't say that there's no misunderstanding in the contract, because if they breach a contract, you have every right to you have every right for non-payment to the carrier for a breach of contract, as a carrier has for payment from you for breaching the contract and not paying you. So the more clear and concise your contracts are, the better. You can follow the templates and then create them and then produce them as you see fit for your companies, right? But some of the common things are in the common contracts. You could add to it and take it away after that. Okay. And then at the bottom, they sign it, right? So that's the first thing, the broker carrier agreement. Now we have a carrier profile. You can put a one-page sheet in your broker carrier packet, which contains the broker carrier agreement and next to carrier profile, so that they can fill it out for you, showing you, okay, what's the company name, what's their mailing address, physical address, who are the drivers, do they have factoring, just some preliminary things that you may need that you want to ask them so that you can get more specific with the company as possible. That's the carrier profile. Who do you have any dispatchers? Do you do factoring? What's your mailing address? Who you are, what you carry a company, who's the driver, their email and name, and MC and DOT number, things like that. You got SCAC code. Now, you may not need SCAC unless you're doing uh, drayage. You're going to the ports and things like that. So, but that's the carrier profile. So you may put that in your packet. So let's go back to the whiteboard to see that carrier profile. Okay. So we got a carrier profile. Got the broker carrier agreement. We got the carrier profile that details who they are, their mailing address, and things like that. Okay, so that's in there as well. And this is optional. You don't have to put the profile in there, but it's optional. Okay. Next, you're going to need copies of the carrier's onboarding documents or their credentials. What qualifies? What do you need from the carriers to show you that they are who they say they are? Just like when you showed the shipper, you were who you said you were as a broker. So what qualifies a motor carrier to be a motor carrier? Right? What's one of the documents?
Border carrier authority, like docket sheet, like the
So you need their MC slash DOT authority, or in this case, it's called a certificate.
Mhm.
Because when a motor carrier receives an active operating authority from the FMCSA, it's called certificate. When a broker receives an active operating authority from the FMCSA, it is called a license. That's how you can distinguish the two. Plus the fact in the body of the certificate or piece of paper, it'll tell you either broker arranging transportation for property except household goods, or it'll say for the carrier side, it'll say common carrier of property except household goods. So it'll describe it, right? So let's see if we got one in here that shows that. So on the carrier side, we do. So right here, the MC carrier authority, it'll say, if you notice here, it'll say certificate, this big word, certificate. And this is a sample of what the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, sends to the carrier when their operating authority is active. The service date that it became active, here's DOT and FMCSA. It'll say certificate. It'll have their MC number. This is just an example. It doesn't, this is not real, but it's just an example. It'll show their MC number here, their DOT number there, the name of their company, city, state, and zip. Okay, it'll show that, and it'll tell you the type in the body of the letter. Common carrier of property except household goods. That's the motor carrier side. If we look at the broker side, you got the broker agreement. You'll see on the broker's authority right here, it'll say license. You notice that? So on the carrier side, it says certificate. On the broker side, it says license. Still got the same other things, FMCSA DOT. It got the service date that became active. It'll have a date right here. It'll have their MC and DOT number. And then in the body of it, it'll say this license is evidence of the applicant's authority to engage in operations in interstate or foreign commerce as a broker arranging for transportation of freight except household goods by motor vehicle. So it'll define who they are. Okay. Either so that's a helpful hint for you. Certificate, carriers, licensed brokers. Okay. So now in the packet, what else is needed? You got the authority that says that I am a broker. I'm sorry, I am a motor carrier, right? My authority. So these first two are produced to the carrier from the broker. These next ones under the line right here are produced by the carrier and sent to the broker. So the carrier will send you a copy of their MC and DOT certificate, which says that they have an active authority. They will send you a copy of their COI, which is their certificate of insurance, showing you that they have the required uh, insurance types on the policy for cargo and liability, right? Cargo 150,000. I'm sorry, 100,000, and liability of 1 million, right? So the certificate of insurance says I have enough insurance to cover what I have the authority to transport. So the MC says I have the authority to transport goods. The certificate of insurance says I have the coverage, the insurance coverage to cover what I have the authority to transport. And then just like with the shipper, they need a W-9 too, showing that they are a legitimate company with their EIN number attached to their trucking company. Just like on the shipping side, you needed a W-9 to show your EIN number attached to your brokerage. Okay, so, and then also if you are a carrier that has a factoring company, then your factoring company, just like with the shipper's factoring company, sent the credit app to the shipper. I'm sorry, just like the broker's factoring company sent the credit application, their factoring company's credit application to the shipper, the carrier's factoring company will send their credit application to you, the brokerage, to do a credit check on your brokerage to make sure that you are credit worthy and that you pay on time. There are no breach of contracts, any red flags, any issues of non-payment and stuff like that. They want to vet you out the same way that your factoring company as a broker vetted out the shipper, right? Because not all shippers are good shippers, not all brokers are good brokers. And then once that's done, the carrier's factory company will send you, the broker, their notice of assignment saying, hey, this is our client. So all invoices that you are due to pay them, invoice payables, don't go to them, they go to us now because we've already advanced them some money. Okay? So I'll stop here for questions. Any questions there? This is the broker packets. Any questions? You good? I see Tammy tapping her phone.
Right, I'm good so far.
Okay. So now, so you got your broker authority active. You've produced your packet types. You haven't sent on any shipper or any carriers yet. I'm just showing you what you need to produce and have beforehand. But how much do you charge as a new broker? How do you make your money? Right? That's a question. That's a good question. What happens if a shipper tenders? I'm gonna use some terms in the business now. What happens if a shipper tenders you, or you get a shipper, first of all, and then they tender you some freight to move, right? So let's say, let me erase all of this. Let's say, for example, as a new shipper, as a new broker, I often advise um, you to charge anywhere between 15 to 20% uh, per tender. What do I mean by tender? Tender is something that, so a load tender or load tender or a freight tender or a shipper's customer's tender is what the customer is saying what the tender is. They're selling you a load, and the tender is going to show the details of the load, the pallet count, the piece count, where it's picking up from, where it's delivering to, and any special instructions, right? Any what we call accessorials. Okay. That is what a tender will show. And then on there, they'll have you sign to either accept or reject that tender. If you accept the tender, now you are responsible for moving that freight according to the requirements on the tender, according to the pickup date, the delivery date, and things like that. If you agree to it. So let's say you get a tender. Let's say you got under a shipper. You did the broker shipper agreement. You sent everything in. They accepted it. They sent over to you a load tender, and you accepted it. And let's say the tender was 10 loads per week. Okay. And each load or each tender was valued at $5,000. Okay. So that's what each tender is. So you got 10 tenders, $5,000 per tender or requirement, we will say. And now we have to determine what are we going to charge? What's our percentage? What's our what's our profit margin? That's what we mean. That's when we say what we're going to charge for brokering, what is our profit margin on each tender? What do I look to make for moving each of those loads? Between 15 and 20%. Let's start with the low end. Let's say you want to penetrate the market get in good with the shipper at the lowest tender percentage and move the loads, right? So let's say you charge 15%. Okay. What is 15% of $5,000? Anyone? So you're gonna break out a calculator, right? Like I'm doing in the background. I got the answer. I'm just waiting on you guys. 15%. So for every tender move, you're gonna make 15% off of that, right? No one got an answer yet? 15% of 5,000? So remember, you got tenders, you got $5,000 tenders, you got 10 of them a week. So 10 times 5, that's $50,000 a week that the shipper is trying to move their freight for, right? 50K, right? So what's 10%? I mean, I'm sorry, what's 15% of each tender? What's 15% of $5,000, right?
$750.
$750, right? So for each tender or each load moved, you stand, if you charge 15% of that, you stand to make $750. You got 10 of them to move. So if you move all 10 of them for that week, then you're going to make how much? 7,500, right? Gross. You're not factoring in expenses and everything yet. So you got 10 loads a week, $5,000 per load. You charge 15% profit margin. You make 750 off of each one. You move 10 of them, that's 7,500 for the week. Okay? Now, each tender, you said it was okay, it was $5,000. You stand to make 750 off of that. So if you remove 750 from the 5,000, how much is in the load that can conceivably go back to the carrier? What's the difference of this? What's $5,000 with 750 off of that? $5,000 minus 750,
4,250.
4,250. Gotcha. Okay. I'm just showing you how to price things right now and how to. So 4,250, not 4,280, 4,250. One second. 4,250. Now, and let's say a particular lane, a lane, guys, for those who don't know what a lane is, anything from a pickup to a destination is considered a lane, irregardless of how many stops along the way. So you may have one pickup in Detroit and a delivery in uh, Atlanta, and then the final delivery in Jacksonville, but that's still along the same. It's one shipment. It's one shipment, even though it has multiple stops or multiple pickups, or it's one line haul, even though it has one. I mean, sorry, even though it has multiple pickups or multiple stops, or it's one lane. They all mean the same thing. Okay. So let's say the lane for this $5,000 tender, the market rate, the average market for that was about, um, I don't know, 3,800. Let's say the lane for this one is 3,800. Okay, which is the fair market rate for let's say it's a dry van shipment. And say the market was 3,800. You got 4,250 in it. Are you going to post it on a load board for 4,250? Yes or no? If the market, if the average for that lane is paying 3,800, are you going to post it for 4,250?
No, because you're overbidding yourself.
You're out, yeah, you're losing money, right?
Yeah.
You even though you took your 750 off the top out of the 5,000, you got 4,250 to play with. I would at least post it at least a competitive at the competitive rate, 3,800, or maybe a couple of hundred above that, maybe at 4,000, right?
Yeah.
Just to get a truck to move it, right? So if I was to post it at 4,000 out of the 4,200, I got another extra 250 coming to me. So if I add that 250 back to the 750, that's $1,000 right there. And that's one lane, one shipment, right? So Now, there's going to come a time as a broker, a carrier is going to try to negotiate with you, and sometimes they'll win, sometimes you'll win. Depends on how long you've had that load posted on a load board and you need to move it, and your shipper's down your throat saying, "Hey man, why is my load still sitting on this load board? You can't move it," because you're either trying to be greedy, either trying to post it for below market value and it's never going to move, right? Below the market value. Let's say you're trying to post it for 3,600. The market says it pays 38. Well, no carrier's not going to move it, right? Because it's below what the market, the average is paying, right? So you have circumstances like that, but you just got to be able to understand your numbers. First of all, what your profit margin is as a new broker, 15, 20%. Figure out how you figure you're going to get that off the top, 750. And then let's say you moved it for 4,000, right? Let's say you moved this for 4,000. The carrier moved it for 4,000. You sent them a rate confirmation for 4,000. Okay. So let's erase all of this. Let's say they negotiated with you $4,000, right? They delivered the load. They got the BOL. They turned it into you or through the factoring company, however the monies was shuffled. And now you invoice either your customer directly or through your factoring company for as a broker, you're going to invoice the shipper for the amount of the tender, right? $5,000. And then you pay the carrier the 4,000, which is what's due to them. You invoice, broker invoice and payment. You invoice the shipper or the customer the 5,000. They pay that because that's what the money's in it. Of that 5,000, you negotiated on the rate confirmation to the carrier the 4,000. So you got the carrier 4,000 on the rate confirmation for the truck driver, the trucker, right? And then what's left is the $1,000 to you, the brokerage, which included your 750 initially, that 15% off the 5,000, plus that extra 250 you made when you negotiated it down from 4,250 to 4,000. Okay. Any questions there?
No, that sounds real good.
Sounds real good. Now,
Sounds real good.
this is an inflated example, okay? Just to show you the concepts of how it works. This will never happen. All right. So let's not get your hopes up, right? But that's the concept because there's going to be so many other things, other intricacies involved in it that's going to either cause the tender to go up or down, cause the rate to go up or down with the broker and the carrier, and other factors as well. But conceivably and theoretically, this is how it should work. You never want to, after you take your original percentage off the original tender, you never post that remaining amount on the load board at exact value. Never. You want to post it below that amount so you give yourself negotiating and wiggle room to negotiate with the truck drivers. Because if you did, you wouldn't have any wiggle room. So if you were to take 15% off of that $5,000 load tender, which leaves $750 to you in your pocket, and then you posted it the remaining 4,250 on the load board, everybody's going to call you and try to book it at 4,250. But if you posted it at, let's say, and the market, by the way, was 3,800. Let's say you posted it at 4,000, maybe even 4,100. Give them an extra $300. You still got some extra money left over out of that remaining tender amount, which was the 4,250. So that's kind of the game. You got to understand what lane that the shipper is moving their freight in. What are the rates in that lane? You basically go on load boards and compare what other brokers are posting it for, and you get the market analytics for that stuff. You determine what your profit margin is going to be. Starting out for new brokers again, we typically say between 15, 20%. Some people even go out as low as 10%, just to get themselves in, you know. But and then other factors, the process of building a load, putting all the information, the rate confirmation, The rate confirmation or the load confirmation is so the load tender is what you get from the customer. Okay. So the tender is customer to broker. Okay. The rate confirmation or the load confirmation, rate, we call it a rate con or a load con, is from the broker to the carrier. And the difference is your profit margin, whatever that percentage is you took out, right? Your profit margin, let's say 15%. That is the difference. Okay. Tender was 5,000. The rate con was 4,000. So your profit, you made $1,000, right? Whatever that is. You never share with the customer, the shipper, what you paid to the carrier. You never share with the carrier how much the customer paid you on the loads. There are reasons for that, right? If you shared with the customer what you are paying for the carrier on a load, they're gonna say, "Well, man, I may have put too much in this tender. Let me decrease this. The market says 3,800. I gave you 5,000. Let me give you 4,500. Let me give you 4,000. Now you're not gonna have as much wiggle room to make a decent profit margin, right? That's the shipper to the carrier side. If you the broker, and why would you? If you the broker shared with the customer how much you paid the carrier, right? It's none of their concern as long as you can get that load move for that customer at their tendered rate. It's irrelevant how much you paid the carrier to move it. As long as you do your job on the broker or shipper side, you're fine. And if you reverse that, never as a broker, it would be foolish to share. I would never share with a carrier how much a shipper or a customer is paying me to move this load. Why would I? It's none of their business. As long as the carrier, agreed to move it for what I posted it for on the load board, we have no issue. Now, if they see that the shipper paid, if the broker told a carrier that the shipper paid you $5,000 on a tender to move this load and you paid them 4,000, they're gonna probably want a little bit more money. Like, give me 4,500, right? You got it for 5,000, you got 1,000 in it. Give me 4,500. You got an extra. You can handle that. You see what I'm saying? So certain things as a broker, you want to keep to yourself, you know. Now they are trying to come out with laws, I believe, or the FMCSA as far as disclosing certain things. I'm not sure if that's one of the things that they're going to be required to disclose, what a broker is getting paid by the customer and what a broker pays the carrier. I'm not sure how soon
That's crazy.
that is crazy.
What?
It's almost like they're trying to eliminate the broker,
Right.
right? But I've been hearing some talk about that. Some like the word that they're using is transparency. Um, but that is crazy because the carriers are complaining, especially with well, not complaining. Well, I guess they are complaining. Like OIDA and different organizations are saying that the brokers are keeping the majority of the money, and for the most part, they are correct. I'll be honest. Some brokers are actually underpaying carriers, but and the FMCSA, I think, is looking into it as far as transparency. Well, you got to disclose what your shipper gave you for this low tender, and then how much you're paying to the carrier. That's going to open up a bag of worms because carrier obviously they're going to ask for more money, and that's because the rates are down. Some carriers are shutting down their companies, getting out of the business, saying until the rates come back up, I'll just voluntarily revoke my authority. You know, not involuntarily but voluntarily, and say, hey, until the rates come back up, I'll just drive for a company under their authority, or work for a company as a company driver, and then bring my authority back up once things come back around. And I know a few guys who actually have done that, right? Go work for Pepsi or some other Walmart, whoever make the money under them, as opposed to run their own authority and then pay their own insurance, and because you don't work, you don't eat. So stuff like that. So But yeah, never until this transparency concept comes out, as a broker, never share with your customer what you're paying your carrier, and never share with the carrier what you're giving to the what you're getting from the customer, right? It's just that makes sense to me. But anyway, any questions there?
No.
So how was your guest visit tonight, Miss Tammy?
Um, it was amazing and I'm liking everything.
Okay, well, we have a guest in here, guys. So those who are you're in here with brokers, people who are brokers. I don't know who Dan10219 at Gmail is. They may be a guest as well. Um, but anyway, so wanted to go over that, and then our portal, of course, if you were to enroll, you'll get access to the information here, self-paced, 90 days, our start orientation, and then our column here, and then all of our modules. We got 6 modules. Each module will have a quiz after it to test your aptitude and your understanding of that module. You know, the pre-requirements to be a broker, the requirements, the broker packet types, which we pretty much went over the first 3 of them tonight, literally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth module and the fifth module, fourth module is who are the shippers and how to get them. The fifth module is who are the carriers and how to get the carriers. And then the sixth module is we just went over that a little bit too, the actual load movement process. From the time you get a tender from a customer, you put it into your TMS system if you have one. If you are a new broker, chances are you probably won't have a TMS system. Transportation Management Software is what TMS stands for. What it is it is a CMS or CMS, content management, or a CRM, customer relationship management. It's like a marriage of the two. database
Right.
database, if
Right.
you will, that keeps track of customers, assets, carriers, documents, uh, accounts payables, receivables, things like that. So you seem to be familiar with that, TMS. Okay. Um, and then you build loads and TMSs and things like that. You would need we go over load board, our tools and resources and docs is where you get our templates from, our documents. We have how-to videos back here. We have training videos. Every Zoom call like this one here is recorded, and we store that in our training video library. We have our tools and resources, our load boards, TMS systems, and our Zoom calendar. So during the 90 days, if you missed a Zoom call in the 90 days, you can go back to our training videos, and whatever month in the 90 days you missed it, you can go and scroll to that month. What are we in September? So let's go back to August. So let's say we were in August and we have hundreds. When I say hundreds, that's what I literally mean. Hundreds of videos back here for you to go over brokers. So government contracts there. So we got, I mean, it's just so much. It's beyond reproach at this point. But
Now, will we always have access to that?
in your 90 days,
Yes.
yes, everything
Uh,
you see here, which is our back office module, you have access to during the 90, and you can continue to have access to even after the 90 days if you continue on a month-to-month subscription basis.
Okay. Okay.
So you get to join our Facebook, our private Facebook group, which is the Freight Broker One-on-One. You can network with other like-minded individuals in their journey, our Instagram channel and our YouTube. We have affiliates, eCarrier Check, Seven Oaks Fact. If you're looking for a factoring company,
Uh-huh.
you're looking for a load board company, Truck Stop Pro affiliates. If you're looking for a sourcing company as far as sourcing the shippers and the carriers at the same time, eCarrier Check, we got that. Here's our exam center where you go take the exam and request, or the final exam, and request your certificate after the 90 days. And then you can either continue with a monthly subscription or cancel at that point. Um, and then other resources. You could like your first week or so, you'll probably be navigating through the portal, kind of understanding what things are, asking questions. But after a while, you'll pick up on it. You know,
Okay.
all of our broker documents um, here, and I'm getting ready to add speaking of which, a new, actually two new shippers lists. Let me share that screen. So shippers lists are, the purpose of a shippers list are to, as a broker, you need to source customers or what we call shippers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I have a list. This is 79 pages of different companies that you can reach out to, email, contact, phone, fax, email, um, of these shippers. Let's blow this up a little bit. There we go. So you can see, and they're in alphabetical order. You see 79, I repeat, 79 pages, shippers contact lists. And this is not stale data. Stale data mean like if you call or email this person, they no longer work there or the number's disconnected or yada, 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 whatever, right? That's stale data. This is not stale data. This is real-time data. As far as my vetting person is concerned. So if we find something that's not there, then I'll either remove it or update it. That is one shippers list. I have another one that I'm going to add here. This is the spreadsheet. Let me share that screen pretty soon as well. So if you can you guys see that spreadsheet screen?
Yes.
So that is another shippers list. Okay, all the information. Now this is a little bit more detail, who they are, their title, the name of the company, email, LinkedIn profiles, numbers, category they're in, all that stuff.
Mhm.
What commodities they move, the industry that they're in, the company number of employees, their annual revenue, I believe it has it in there. You scroll, yep, annual revenue in the millions. Um, that's on sheet one of the spreadsheet. Sheet two has some other information as well. So does sheet three and sheet four. So, Nev, raise your hand.
Yeah, quick question. Are shippers responsive to emails, or is it better to call?
They're more responsive to emails because in their spare time of running a shipping facility, they might run into their office, take a break, look at their emails, and depending on how you tapped into that and open up the conversation, they may respond to it. They're more receptive to emails. They're more receptive to accepting LinkedIn profile requests or LinkedIn connection requests, I should say. And depending on how busy they are responsive to phone calls. Now, with the phone calls, you got 30 seconds or less, assuming you got past the gatekeeper to impress the person, right? And now they're regular people. They have a pulse just like you do. They breathe just like you do, right? They're just in a position where they're responsible for, in some cases, $1 million of goods at a facility. They got to make sure everything is flowing smoothly in the warehouse management piece of the supply chain, right? So you as a broker have to understand that they are in a supply chain part. That's the logistics part, the transportation part. So they got a lot going on, right? If you understand how supply chain works, they got a lot going on. They got to make sure that once the products are done and made and it's coming to their stage or their link in the supply chain, they are responsible for continuing that process on through to delivery. So if you catch them at the wrong time, you may not get a favorable response, right? So, but you'll catch it, and if you have an opportunity to leave a voicemail, by all means do so, and that gives you more time to further explain who you are and to offer a return call or when is the best time we can contact you, things like that. So yes, okay. So here is the shippers list here. So I'm going to be putting that in the back office under. Let's go back to the website. And the location that I may consider putting that under probably will be under tools and resources. This is broker documents. So under tools, docs, and resources, I'll probably put it under the tools and resources, the shippers lists. So for those of you who are students who have access to these, this is where you will come and get all of our. We have so much content back here, and we're organizing it a little bit better. Here we go. Here goes some shippers list right now. Publications. Let's go here. We got publications, different publications that keep you up to date as a broker in the transportation industry. You may want to look into subscribing to these publications to kind of keep yourself grounded. If you're going to be in this industry, it's best to know as much as you possibly can about it, right? If you're going to invest your time in something, in my opinion, okay? And then we got the brokers, carriers, forwarders, shippers list. Click that, and it takes you to a screen where you can download the master list. That's the one there to your local. I'm not gonna do it, but it'll have you download to your local computer. So I may add another button here, or I may put it somewhere down here further in with all of our other uh, tools. We got a lot of tools here. I may update these shippers list, put the 2024 list and replace the 2022s and 2020s, or just add them into here, right? So, because I would still say, even of the 2020 list, I would say about 40% of it is stale data at this point, because that was 4 years ago, right? So 2022, I would say about 20% of it stale data. I may have to hire someone to actually go through that stuff and vet out everybody, clean that spreadsheet up for me. But at any rate, the buildings themselves haven't gotten up and walked away. The people who manage the position that we're looking to broker for probably have. They may have retired, got fired, took on a new position, but the companies are still there, you know. So, and then we got other resources for you, broker docs. So everything's is pretty much organized for you. And these images you click, it'll take you to those websites. These are resources you can go to find customers in certain industries, like in the food industry, McGrath's Blue Books, Thomas Net. These are resources you can go to in order to find customers. Here's a good one right here, the National Chamber of Commerce website. If you look at this, you can look up customers in your specific area. Someone give me a major city and state that they live by or that they're in currently.
Detroit, Michigan.
What up, though? What up, though? That's my spot. What you talk about? What up, though? What up, though? So Detroit that's where I was born and raised. So hit Detroit. You can either hit most popular. They got a group by popular cities, or you can go to the actual state itself. So Detroit is in Michigan. So let's go right here, Michigan. You go here, and then you can select the county. Detroit is Wayne County.
Yes.
So we can go down to Wayne County, Southern Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, or even further down. It may even have one called Greater Detroit, sometimes, the suburbs or whatever.
Hmm.
Dearborn. Dearborn's near us a little bit.
Yes.
So you can find any county's chamber of commerce to Ypsilanti to look for shippers. So let's just select one. Let's go back up and just select one. Let's just go back to the Detroit one, up at the top, right? The popular cities, and go up here, major cities. You click here, Detroit,
Hmm.
and then now you got an address down here, like the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, right? And you see their website. Go to their
Hmm.
website, and most websites have a members portal, right? And you can look up a membership directory or a members portal where you can look up according to the category that the members do business in. So our member directory, you can go into the member directory and look up different categories. We are in logistics, manufacturing. So you can search by you can search by company, search by category, or we're going to search by category. You can either say shipper, I want to say manufacturing, right? So I started typing manufacturing and look what pops up. A manufacturing company. Now it should be, that may not be all of them because Detroit's pretty low. So we got plenty of manufacturers down here. So Amanda, and it seems to be in alphabetical order, right? So
Hmm.
so yeah, you go to their website and then you look for the person to contact. They even got a phone number here. You may call them. This is an auto parts manufacturer. You may call them and say, hey man, I'm looking for someone in the logistics or the shipping department, right? If you get to a
Hmm.
gatekeeper, if you get to someone who's a gatekeeper who answers the phone and either blows you off or sends you to a voicemail, then ask to be transferred to the sales department. Once you get to the sales department, say, hey, oh, I'm sorry, they transferred me to the wrong department. I was actually looking for someone in logistics or warehousing. and then they will transfer you to just a little step around, a little
Mhm.
workaround gatekeeper, right? So stuff like that. So we got plenty of so the resources are back here. It's just the process of understanding how to navigate. Now, can you imagine getting a contract with the Ford Motor Company? Now, back in the day, back in the 80s and 70s and even 60s, Detroit was huge in the big three automotive companies, Ford, Chrysler, and GM, right? They had a big, huge, I think all their offices for the most part were on this one main street called West Grand Boulevard. Uh,
Mhm.
Chrysler, Ford, and GM. And I remember I actually shook the hand of I was in middle school at the time. I shook the hand of the president of Chrysler. His name was Lee Iacocca. I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy, but Lee Iacocca, he's deceased now. But yeah, he was the president of the Chrysler, and we had took a tour in our middle school down to the auto parts building, the Chrysler building down in Detroit on West Grand Boulevard. So very interesting. It was a good experience, but never knew I'd one day come around and be teaching dispatching and brokering. Who knew, right? So, but this is a method that you can look for shippers. You can do email campaigns. You can do text scripts, cold calls. Um, you may know someone who is in a particular industry that you're interested in. So there's once you get to that place where you're gonna get I'll be honest with you guys, you're gonna get a lot more no's than you are yeses, right? That's just the way of the industry. You're calling someone for the very first time, they don't know you, you don't know them, but that's good because you're getting practice on how to tighten up your communication skills in the cold calling realm of brokering, right? And at some point, you're going to be talking on the phone a lot anyway. After you get a customer, you're going to be talking to them a lot. You're going to be talking to the carrier a lot because you're going to want to make sure that the loads are being moved properly. So doing cold calls is going to give you a whole lot of practice into what you're going to be doing later on anyway. But it'll be easier for you as a broker once you get your customers and your carriers because they're locked in. You're just calling them just to confirm that you're doing your job. Because as a freight broker, you're just making sure that the load is being picked up on time and delivered on time, and you're communicating that to your first customer. Remember, you have two customers as a freight broker. The shipper themselves, we call them the customer, the shippers, manufacturers, and then the motor carriers that you are selling the loads to. So you're going to be talking to them on a regular basis. The carrier more so than the customer. You may communicate more so with the customers via email. And then if they really need to talk to you like an emergency, they'll probably either call you or you call them. But for the most part, you're going to be communicating more so with the carriers because you want to make sure that that load is safely secure and transported and delivered on time because you don't want to mess up with your first customer who's giving the tenders to you, the money, right? So that's where the money trail begins with the customer. So any questions?
No.
All right. No one else? iPad 2? You unmute yourself. You got a question?
Yeah, you good, Charles. Go ahead.
Okay. So here's the National Chamber of Commerce director just showing you what that looked like in our tools and resources. We got other resources. I mean, national truck rate, U ship, import info. If you get into customs and you get into the customs and the drayage industry, what's called intermodal. Um, and then we got Trans Credit, which helps build your business. So there's three business credit bureaus. There's three personal credit bureaus. There's three business credit bureaus, right? Dun and Bradstreet, Trans Credit, and one called Ansonia, right? That's on the business side. Obviously, on the personal side, we got Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, right? So those that's good information to know and have. Hello, Alicia. How are you? Alicia's driving a truck. Look at that. Safe travels. So we got other resources if you want to know like what's the price of the fuel, EIA, the truck miles, AAA gas prices or fuel prices, fuel surcharge calculator, the index. Um, if I were you, if you're in the course for 90 days, you know, scroll through the website, you know, try to break it. I want you to break it, please. I can fix it because I want to make this as tight as possible, and I want to give you guys the best experience possible, right? Now I may need to reorganize some stuff to make the navigating adventure a little bit more streamlined, but other than that, um, you know, everything's where it needs to be. Go back to the top. I'll take you back to the top. Now, this is just the tools and resources area. Go back into the main menu. And then under the broker documents, we got a lot of broker documents you may need that help you along your path, right? So, freight broker, factoring company, shippers won't give me a chance. What do I do? How do brokers make money? These answer some of your questions, right? That you may have. What are some popular freight broker TMS softwares? What are some questions? Freight broker one-on-one qualifying questions to the shippers. What are the type of questions you would ask a shipper to qualify? What are some sales strategies as a freight broker? Cold calling scripts, shipper scripts, email scripts. Here's our broker shipper agreement again, our broker carrier agreement. Our ebook that we included in the 90-day course. What does a BOL look like? What does a Raycon look like? A glossary. Major interstates, you know. I don't know if you noticed, but I think you truck drivers know this, but the odd number interstates go north and southbound, right? The even number interstates go east and westbound. You notice that? So
Mhm.
if that's somebody learned that new, you're welcome. But but for those who already knew that, that's fine. That's great. So we have a plethora of information for you in here. In our exams, right? At the end of each module, we give a quiz, right? And then we have a final exam. TMS systems, how-to videos, the how-to videos are videos that there are specific videos to answer commonly asked questions. Some of the questions are common questions there and they're redundant. They're asked all the time. We figure let's make some how-to videos answering those specific commonly asked questions. And as we get commonly asked questions all the time, we'll make how-to videos. I think I haven't put anything in. Okay, yeah. So how-to videos, and these are hyperlinks. So if you click them, this goes to a video, broker application. It'll go to a video of actually filling out a broker application. What we just did earlier with the young lady, Tammy. I think Tammy is still in here. Yeah,
Yes, I am.
broker packet types. We went over that. Get shippers. So will be videos. I haven't done them as much. I don't think they're right now, but yeah, getting carriers, load movement. So some of the commonly asked questions about that. The onboarding process from a broker shipper perspective. How do you onboard with a shipper? And then the onboarding process from a broker you to the motor carrier. How do you onboard a carrier to your brokerage? So as a new broker, as a beginner broker, you're going to need to know that process, how to do it correctly, right? So we're going to make videos about that. And then our e-carrier check affiliation, things of that nature. So there's a lot. It's a lot for you to take in. 90 days is, I would say 90 days is plenty of time for some, not enough time for others.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but yeah. All right. So I'm gonna shut my big mouth now to see if anybody got any questions.
Well, I know I came in late, Charles, because Damien, I spoke with you. Well, I texted you earlier today.
Are you're a
Um,
student? You're a student, Damien, right?
yeah, that's my first class. Yeah. So,
Okay. So if
yeah.
I were you, I would start with the far left column, the orientation. Just start with the second column. The second from the left column is the meat of the training, right? The modules.
Okay.
The third column or the middle column is all your resources will be that you need to. The fourth column is when you're ready to take your final exam, and then the fifth column is just extra data information. Either our affiliates or our social media if you want to connect to us on our social media. But
Okay.
first two columns, well, the first three columns are important, but you just came in, so you will start with orientation. It's just a brief saying, hey, welcome, thank you for choosing us over other trainers. Here's what to expect throughout the 90 days, right? And there's a video in there, and you go in there, and there should be some ebooks in there to download. Okay, so just a video right here, and then you go to the next. What's the prerequisites? And then that takes you straight into the prerequisites, which is the second column. But I would read like this one, the four capitals. What's the difference between a freight broker and a freight broker agent? Because sometimes as a new broker, you may need help, or your brokerage may be so big that you need to scale and bring on some help. Those are called agents, right? Freight broker agents. They work under your broker authority as agents. They bring in customers for you, and you guys split the profit margin. Let's say your profit margin is 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your agent gets a customer with $5,000 load tenders, 10 load tenders, 20, whatever the number is. But each tender, 20% of 5,000, that's $1,000, right? That's the profit margin for the brokerage. But if you have an agent that helped brought you in there, you guys are going to split that either 50-50, 70-30, 60-40, based off of what your broker and your broker agent agreement dictate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got other stuff in here, donate, merch. We got a merch store. I do merch referrals. You can refer people to see the merch store. I got some of this corny stuff in here for you guys. So it's all good. So uh let's see here. Yep. Dispatching, freight broker and stuff. So cups and mugs and I want to increase my product line a little bit more, but just for starters, But at any rate, first column should be a breeze, orientation, and then right here is probably where you get into it. Prerequisite, the column first prerequisite means, do you have a business plan set up? Do you have a business itself set up, like your LLC, EIN, things like that, your business name, how you're going to structure it as an LLC, EIN, S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietor, whatever you structure it in, things like that. And at the end of that, there's a quiz, module 1 quiz.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you just hit start. Everything is online, it's digital. I'm using AI a little bit to play with that. So right here, quiz, scroll down and scroll down further, and you hit start. Boom. And you get into the quiz. I'm not going to hit it because it's going to start the quiz. It auto generates it. So this module quiz discusses the prerequisites of freight brokering. Rewards, get a certificate by completing the program. And then you go through it and ask the right questions, hit start, and then hit continue. And then it asks about 10 or 20 questions, goes through right there, true or false or multiple choice, and it goes down, right? So which business structure is best and easiest to set up when starting the business? Sole proprietor, LLC, partnership. You probably should know that answer, but
Mm-hmm.
it's probably the
LLC.
LLC. There you go.
Yeah.
True or false? A prerequisite to something means that it is needed prior to meeting the requirements. Of course, it is true.
True.
So,
Yeah.
and what is the business plan? So which of these is a business structure for your business? Is it an EIN, FMCSA, or LLC?
That's the LLC.
LLC. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that works. So you scroll down there, you finish that, you submit it, and every quiz, you need an 80% to pass in order to get the certificate. You need 80% for each quiz.
And if
You
what
get
if you
multiple.
don't pass the first quiz? Does it allow you to go back and take it again?
Um, that's a great question. I don't think so. I think people usually call me and say, "Can you recycle? Let me take it again." But yeah. And Damon, what was you
Okay,
going to
so
ask?
I was actually going to ask the same thing that Miss Tammy just asked. So,
Okay.
yeah. So that's good. But that information should be covered within once you go through the first couple modules, right?
Right, and that's the whole
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
the modules contain, and this is open book. You ain't gotta close your website down. It's open book. So
Okay.
Oh,
all
okay.
Okay.
all the data and the answers to the quiz is in the module that the quiz is designed for. So module one's quiz have all the answers in the module.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Okay.
and two, three, so on and so forth, right? So it gets a little bit more. I'm gonna have to make it a little bit more difficult because I got people. I got one person went through everything in like uh, a day because they were so excited. So yeah, yeah. Maybe I should have you guys wait 24 hours before you can retake the quiz. I would probably for those who didn't pass it, like didn't get the 80% somehow.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's a great suggestion, LaDonna. 24 hours, you know, and then
That's not fair.
if you don't pass it twice, then we need to have a conversation, right? So
Right. Right.
yeah, so it's open. So how can you fail an open book quiz? That would be my question.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you were sipping on a couple of mimosas, a couple of flights, and you was like, okay, let me take this quiz, and then
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what's up. Yeah.
but but yeah, so and it just reinforces the learning curve, and then put that knowledge. It just cements that knowledge in your head. So when you become a broker, you're gonna have so much knowledge about what's required of it and things going on. You'd be like, okay, yeah, this is. Because I try to make it as concise as possible, right? Packet types, quizzes for that. You know, let's go down. Module 3 quiz. Boom. You scroll down to the module 3 quiz. Module 3 quiz. And the same process. Everything is digital online. Now I control it in the Wix portal. I go to the editor and do all that stuff, but um it took me a while to get this like digitized, but it's fine.
Question for you.
Yes,
Question for
ma'am.
you. Can you only practice in the state that you live in, or can you practice in multiple states?
You mean can you broker only in the state that you live in?
Yes.
No, you
Yes.
broker all over the country. So
Okay.
let me let me reinforce that. Let me bring home the point. I got international dispatcher students. I have international broker students who stays in like Thailand, South Africa, England, who are dispatching and brokering in the United States.
Okay.
So that should answer the question there, right? You don't,
Yes.
you can, so your contract is with the customer. It doesn't matter where they live or where the customer's offices are, or the building, the manufacturer, or whatever. It's as long as you got a contract between you and them, you may be in Texas or Michigan in your case, and then you may have a customer who has a good company over in Houston, Texas, and you guys had a great conversation, and they want to work with you, and they say, "Send me your packet." So when they tell you to send me your packet, I'm a shipper. I'm in Houston, Texas, and you're a broker in Michigan. What do I mean when I say that? Send me your packet. Send me your setup packet.
So do
We,
you overnight it to them?
you can, or you can send it to them digitally,
Oh, okay.
right? Well, what am I asking you for? We just went over that, right? The packet types. So
Right.
what
Yes.
am I asking for? I'm asking for the broker. So I'm a shipper, right? You're the broker. So I'm asking for a broker shipper agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for what qualifies you to be a broker, which is your license.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for if you have insurance, certificate of insurance, your W-9, and if you're dealing with factory, your credit application so you can run my credit, and then your notice of assignment, your NOA. And that's pretty much it, minimally. Now,
Mm-hmm.
some brokers send a thesis paper to these shippers. Like, they're not going to read all that stuff. They're going to throw that in file 13. You guys know what file 13 is, right? That's the trash,
Trash.
the trash can.
Yeah.
So that,
Right.
like, look, I'm not reading all this. I just want to know, are you are who you say you are? Okay, you got a broker license. Okay, you got a company, your EIN. You got certificate of insurance. You got the credit to vet me to the factory and the broker shipper agreement. And sometimes they don't even read the broker shipper agreement. They'll send you theirs and see if you accept that. In some cases, I'll say 50% of the time that happens. And then you just got to agree to them. And you can go back and forth and say, okay, I agree with you here, but let's further discuss this point two or section B in yours, and we come to a consensus, right? So, but once all that happens, send me your packet and everything. Then he's going to send over the load tender. and say, okay, we got an agreement. Now let's see if you agree to this tender. Let's see if you accept it or reject it. I got a tender that's going from Detroit, Michigan, over to Houston, Texas, for the freight goes into a dry van. The commodity is general freight, palletized. Um, we don't do any accessorials. I'm the shipper talking to you. So if you got a carrier who incurs detention, which is a type of accessorial, you got to worry about how to deal with that. But they don't do accessorial as a business, but they are negotiable to consider it, depending on if their customer who your driver is delivering to incurs an ass if they take too long to load or unload that trailer, then you would have that conversation with the customer saying, "Hey, man, my driver got to your customer, and they took longer than normal. We anticipated. I understand why you don't do accessorials because you anticipate your customer not taking hours to load or unload the truck. But in this case, that was the case. They took them longer than what they normally do. So can we roll in some asks? Can we roll in some detention for this driver to help them compensate for them being longer than what they needed to be there because he need to pick up another load and your customer's facility took longer than necessary to offload the delivery. So conversations like that you may have with the customer sometimes, as well as other conversations, but you're talking to them like they're regular people. You know, you guys are business. You are a freight brokerage business. They are a customer manufacturing business. You guys are having a business conversation, right? So,
Okay.
and that's how you would conduct yourselves, you know. But
Okay.
that, but you'll cross that bridge when you get to it. You got to get past the first stage first, right? Understanding the
Right.
process, getting your broker authority, your broker license up and running, and then getting that first customer, you know.
Mhm. So after the 90 days, will we, okay, that depends. Okay. I answered my own question.
Yeah, after 90 days, you probably won't hear from me. I got to check myself in. The feds are looking for me. So I'll give you guys 90 days. But after 90 days, the same stuff that I'm showing you in the portal that you have access to during the 90 days, you'll be able to have access to on a month-to-month basis after 90 days if you pay the monthly subscription, which is
Mm-hmm.
$24.99.
Mm-hmm.
So your original price point got you in for 90 days. If you want to continue, and you can cancel any time after that, like month to month. Some people have paid me. One guy paid me for a whole year, the month to month for a whole year to have access to. He said, "Man, what's the cost for another year?" And I just added up 24.99 times 12 plus tax.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's your number. He said, "Okay, send me an invoice." I sent him an invoice and he locked it in. So
Wow.
yeah, yep. I mean, sometimes you do it that way. Sometimes you do it on a month to month basis. It's like with an apartment. You can do a month to month, or you can do a lease for a year. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so all right, guys, very good. Our
Okay.
Zoom calendar in here as well. You can either get to the Zoom calendar for the next scheduled live Zoom with me this Friday at 6. From here, since you're in the portal, it's probably best to do it here. Otherwise, if this button wasn't here, then you would just go to the top under Freight Broker One-on-One and just hit Zoom calendar. It takes you to the exact same screen as if you were here. So let's click either one for the broker side, and it will be this Friday. I should cancel that. Friday the 13th. Oh my God, that's spooky. But anyway, Friday the 13th, we'll go over, we went over basic concepts today. We'll go over broker strategies and things like that, about lanes and understanding how brokers do stuff. I may bring in Darren, who is a broker. Everybody likes Darren because he gives you real world experiences. If you'd have came in tonight, he probably would have told you about a story he had today when he's broken the load. So it's good to hear those things as new brokers, hearing live brokers telling you what's going on right now, so that puts you onto the learning curve and what to expect. Or if in fact you may not never run into that experience that Darren may have shared with you today or either on Friday if he comes in, but at least you would have the knowledge of it in case it does happen. How would you handle it as a freight broker in real time? Because he does this every day, right? So he's doing it every day. So it's good to have that networked resource. Some people get his phone number and communicate with him. I'm going to try to have it
Good.
on a regular basis. So,
Okay.
All right. So hopefully, Tammy, this was enough information.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just go on the website to I'm gonna go on the website and I'm gonna join. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So Tammy's a guest, guys. Everybody else is a student, but
I'm
she
a
was
guest. I'm gonna be a student.
considering enrolling. So she would go to the website, products menu,
Yep.
um, the 799 ongoing training, 20% off. Select
Yep.
purchase now, 20% off. Promo code Labor Day 2024. So when you get here,
Hold on, let me go on the website right now.
'cause I'm gonna show
Okay.
you the trick. If you, I don't know if you're paying it, I don't know if you're paying it all after the 20% or if you're gonna pay it with the payment plan with the firm. So that's why I was gonna show
No,
you.
I'm not gonna pay with the firm.
Okay.
What is the website that I go on?
X www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. I can put that in the chat. I know you on your phone, right?
XWW what?
Exodus, like Exodus in the Bible. Exodus.
Okay, Exodus.
Dispatching, ing, dispatching, and and training with an ing.com. So Exodus dispatching and training.com. Look at you guys, these my students. You guys helped me close another deal. Look at that. Look at that. Look at God.
Okay, God is good, isn't he?
All the
All the
time.
time.
All the time, God is good.
Uh-oh, church.
See?
Okay, so you get to
Okay.
the home page. Right here, you see our little AI truck, right? You see the home page?
Yep.
At
Okay.
the top, you see the headers, right? You're a freight broker. So under freight broker, you should see your hover your mouse over freight broker, it'll drop down with a shortcut menu. Select the third one from the top, broker products menu,
Okay.
right? That'll take you to the freight broker products menu page. And then slide your mouse down a little bit so you can go to the center of the page where you select the most popular 20% off 799/999 ongoing training.
Okay.
And now you're at the purchase now page of the 799, and the 999 is for two people. That's the 2 for 1, two people. But
Oh,
799,
you can do a 2 for 1?
yeah, two people, 999, and then the 799 is right there, single
And
member
you
and two
nine
members.
ninety nine, and then the 20% off of the 9.99.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, shut the front door and open the back.
Okay. Okay.
Good night, Tasha.
I-
So yeah, so because I heard you mention a daughter, so I didn't know if you was
Yeah.
bringing her in. So if you select either one, so
Right.
let's say you selected the 999. So let's click that, and it takes you to the 999 window, just like it would the 799 window.
Right.
So 999. So right here where it says enter a coupon code under the price, click that
Uh-huh.
and type in the promo code, which is Labor Day 2024. Hit apply. It'll recalculate minus the 20%. So 20% of 800 is a buck. What is that? I'm sorry, 20% of 1,000 is $200. So it's a dollar. It's 199 off, 199.80. So it'd be 799.20 for two people. So it's like you're paying for one person, but you're getting
For
two people.
one person for two.
Right. So that's if you want to do that. So if you don't, then you'll
Yes.
go back and we'll select a single member, 799, and it'll give you the difference of I think 160 off if you enter the promo code Labor Day. I'll hit apply. That'll be 639. So it seems like you get a better value if two people. It's not much of a difference.
Yeah. Why would you
I
do
didn't
one person? Why would you do
just
one
just
person and
looking at
two
this
people?
right now, I'm just not realizing that. I'm like, wait, you get a better value, you bring two people in.
Okay, so I'm on here right now. Exit. Okay. And I go over, you said I go over to a freight broker. Okay.
Right?
Right?
And then you select the products menu,
Yeah.
and then it takes you
Uh,
to the products menu with all the different products we have. Our most popular product is our ongoing training.
for I didn't see that. Freight broker 101, Zoom calendar, broker product menu. Okay.
Right. Broker product
Broker
menu.
product.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then
Uh,
You scroll down to the
And
page. You see the one at the bottom one, the centered button in the bottom,
yeah,
7.99, 9. It has a red to the left of it, most popular at 20%.
okay. Yeah, okay. Let me see. I see the 20%. Okay, I'm gonna do the 9.99. Let's see here.
Okay, so you're on the other page. 20% purchase now, 9.99.
Oh wait, let me go back because I did miss the 20% off. Okay. Let me
Well,
go back.
you gotta enter the yeah, you gotta enter that coupon code to get the discount.
Okay, that's after. So I hit the purchase now and then put the coupon code in
Right. So
as I'm.
yeah, there
Okay.
should be a link. Yeah, enter coupon code. The code is Labor Day 2024, all lowercase.
Mm.
Labor
Oh,
Day.
yep, yep. I see it. Okay. All right. Okay, I got it.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. See you guys on Friday.
Friday, unless something
All
changes.
right, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
see you on Friday.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank
See you
you, guys.
guys. Okay. Good night.
Any final questions from anyone else?
I'm gonna just go back through the Marcus Charles and just kind of get caught up since I missed kind of like the first half of it, and
Okay,
just kind of go from there. And
yeah,
should
and
be on board Friday.
and this is recorded, so this video will be in the training videos library under the month of September.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay, okay.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Charles.
Guys on
Appreciate it.
Friday.
All right.